Hello, good evening, and welcome to this live stream. How are you doing tonight? Today we are going to play another scenario by Mr. Twaddleford indeed. It's gonna be a long haul again, a multi-stream scenario. Yeah, I could probably do it in one stream if I really tried with the speed up, but we're not going to do that. So welcome Max, Mr. Twaddleford, Reckless Trismat, Mellow, Magic Geeks, Bado, Mr. Fedros, Valder, Aniolel, and everyone else who is here. Yeah, the scenario is probably hot and dry, which helps. So basically, the goal of the scenario, let's get it actually, it's called, what's it called? Blighted Wastes. And it's gonna be in other parks, presumably expert ones. Yeah, there it is. At an oasis in the middle of a harsh desert. I feel like there's an A missing there. At an oasis in the middle of harsh desert, still works. A band of enterprising merchants and entertainers ply their trades. Relying on reputation only, help them attract more patrons who will need more than just the prospect of a good bargain to venture here. Objective: to achieve a monthly profit from food, drink and merchandise of at least 10k. Now, we can do this the easy and the hard way, right? The easy way is to just not sell anything other than like food to keep people around. And then suddenly open a whole bunch of stalls, souvenir stalls, and sell umbrellas at $20 when it rains. You know, that's the kind of the cheese way. And I think you can easily get like $10 out of people in a single month. So you only need like 1,000 people to do that. That's boring though. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower this price. And I'm going to see if we can do this without abusing rain for $20 umbrellas and without abusing the other trick I've just described. Okay, so hopefully we do have cash machine and charging for the rides. No cash machine, well that is absolute first priority. Because we need to build a lot of big rides to attract a lot of guests, since apparently this is harder guest generation, no ads. What do we have? Okay, we have plenty. Is this the right selection from... This almost feels awfully similar to the right selection that you start with from Build Your Own Six Flags scenario. I know it's not because you don't get the hardline there. I, for some reason, know that. It feels very similar. Cash machine not immediately available, but you don't need to focus on it. So it's not like the last one. But I'm going to focus on it anyway. Because we got plenty of rides available at the start. Hot and dry immediately rains. Yeah, that's how you beat, what's it called? For speedrunning, that's how you beat Bumbly Bazaar, like, very quickly. You need to get lucky with rain in March. Because it can only rain in March, September and October in hot and dry. And if you have it rain in March, you can beat it in just a couple of seconds. When I did my most recent speedrun of 18 minutes and I believe 24 seconds, I did not go for that because it was way too unreliable. Okay, so this is the park. Oh, it's gonna be one of them dense parks, I see, because we don't have too much space. Can we borrow anything? Was this made with World Painter, perhaps? This looks World Painter-esque. Okay, we cannot buy any land. World Painter was used. Ah, yes. it's very much this very like smooth curve with the small cliffs and stuff. That's not a thing you would often do manually. That's why it looks very world paintery, because I know the world painter can do that. So there's a lot of this stuff. Yes, there's no reason to not do it. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just a thing I noticed. Thank you for the 2 months, Licho Boy. Or Icho Boy, depending on whether that's an L or a capital I. Right. We should probably start building some rides. How about we start with a long junior coaster? At least 600 meters long. Actually, we should first alter all the rides. So I'm not going to use the price manager. In fact, I don't even seem to have any plugins loaded at the moment. Let's see. We're going to use my shop values database, which is just this table. I'm going to reference that. And I'm going to overcharge people, because we do need to make more money. But I'm just going to see, it's hot and dry, so we can kind of ignore cold. It's very rarely cold in hot and dry. So the medium and the hot price, I'm just going to take whichever is lowest and then overcharge by... Well, how much shall we overcharge by? We can keep people happy, that's not a problem. How about we overcharge by 190, then there's still a 50% chance that they buy it. So we do whatever in medium and hot is the lowest, and we overcharge by 190. That's what I'm gonna do. So, umbrellas. What are they? They are 250. Because in hot they're only 250. In cold they're 5. So it's going to be 440. Cuddly toy is $3. So it's going to be 490. And then sandwich. Sandwich is 190. So that's going to be 380. Thirst, just a drink, is 120. That's going to be 310. Funnel cake is 110. That's going to be $3. Toilets, I'll just put that at 40 cents. Oh, we should enable all of these. Oh, they're already enabled. That one not. That one is, and that one I saw enabled at the start. Iced tea, that is gonna be... Where is it? I found it. 290. Popcorn is going to be 320. Chicken is going to be 380. And finally, burgers, also 380. Hey, it rains again. I think that was selected at the very end of March. Yes. And then it went on into April. So it kind of can rain in April in these scenarios, but rain can only be selected in March, September and October. Okay, so we've got these prices and they're locked in stone. That's what I'm going to keep them at. They're quite high, but they're not exploitative. And we're not going to wait, you know, have all the guests buy an umbrella suddenly at the same time for 20 bucks or something like that. Or do that with like 20 different souvenirs. Hat stall. Do we have a hat stall? We don't. Let's build one. Hat. How expensive is a hat? 270 in medium temperature. So that's going to be 460. How happy do them guests be? They look reasonably happy. Okay, so these I can indeed not destroy. Hey, big fan from Mexico here. I just wanted to say I love your stream videos. Thank you. They honestly help me relax and fall asleep at night in a good way. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Ichiboy, and welcome. Okay, time to complete our junior coaster. It's just sitting there. Okay, I'm gonna make the station, like, put it a bit further this way. And we can make good use of the hill. There we go, that's much better. Also, hey, check this. Entertainers now have a guests entertained stat. And every time they do a little dance, there he is, all the guests within a 3-tile radius that are walking or queuing, I believe, get entertained. And I added that to OpenRST2. And then Aaron stepped in to help with some like other stuff with it. But it was my idea. And I did, well, half the work at least, I guess. And this can reach quite high numbers. It's already reached 46, and we only just hired them and the park is not that crowded. It's not very important, it's just a fun little number. But I thought it was neat. And we can check in at the end to see how many guests he's entertained throughout the time of the park. And just for that, I'm gonna name this one Mr. Unfireable. So even if you guys do the fire all your staff thing, nope. At least, nope if I'm careful enough. And then accidentally fire him. Let's do testing. I like live testing. You know what? We might as well go underground to get a bit of an excitement boost. Ooh, damn. We're quite high up. I didn't expect that. Oh, we're at the edge of the park. I didn't expect that I could go this far down. Doesn't have enough speed to make this. Surely, since it comes from 40 meters. That should be plenty of speed. But we're not going to go back to the station yet, because I don't think we have 600 meters yet. So we need to add some more length first. Oh, information kiosk. I did not realize we didn't have that yet. Ah, okay, this is too tall. That means we definitely do not need to bank a damn curve. Hello, Anna Banana Bee. Which is a fun name to say. Welcome. Okay, this should be 600 meters, right? Okay, what path do we use here? That one. That fits with that. Yellow queue lines. Red and yellow. I'm going for blue. $599 meters. I do at some point want to make a video about how length works. Do I have that on my video ideas list? Nope. Now I do. Okay, how long is this baby? Surely at least 600. 950. And we got excessive laterals. 112. Whoops. I didn't expect to reach 100. Well, then the excessive laterals are just at the bottom of this drop. But it's fine, because it's still only at 9.1 intensity. 3 trains possible. Yep, probably. At 10, at 30 cars instead of 26. Which is more efficient, although if we also have lower speed, it's like kind of iffy at some point, so we'll see if it still makes it. This one will count triple currently. Later it will only count double. But right now this is providing 165 soft gas cap, which is not great because the junior coaster is not great. Bob the Job. He is fireable, and unfortunately for him and Tony the Lonely Crash, that will happen at some point. Okay, so yes, this did not make it. You know what? I got an idea. Need a little more cash. Now it'll make it. When I was playtesting this scenario, I made extensive use of the right price ticket calculator. Oh yes, I should absolutely use that. Hang on, let me load up a few plugins. What do we need? Live ride measurements is fun. Salt gas cap calculator is useful. Right price ticket calculator is nice. Park rating inspector is always great. I love it. Probably not going to use it, but I love it. Alright. Reload. And there they are. Ah, dear old park rating inspector. Anyway. Right ticket price calculator. I'm not gonna set it to the maximum. I'm gonna set it to the third one down so that it's good for 5 years. That means I don't need to worry about it. That's 1220. I'm so used to just pausing when I watch, because I typically watch YouTube, that I keep pressing the pause button on my remote out of habit to message with my friend on Discord. Yeah, if you do that, you're gonna miss the greatest thing in the world, because this is a live stream and we do not pause for anyone. We got ice cream cone store and then info kiosk. Info kiosk is neat because we're gonna sell maps. Maps are 70, I believe. Yeah, they're 70 cents, somehow 80 in gold, which means we're gonna sell them for 260, which is ridiculous. Hey, cash machine. Yeah, that was rather quick. Okay, so cash machine, cash machine, cash machine, and first aid room. Salt gas cap is 359. I'm gonna need to build another coaster to get that up. How about a wooden coaster? We need a little bit more money. What is our maximum loan? 35k. Okay, so that's quite decent. It's 20% per year, so ideally we want to keep it low. Which will eventually happen, because we'll be making enough money. I could have just plopped down the 606 design that I already have for the looping coaster, but I feel like that's a bit too cheesy, you know? Interlocking vertical loops. That will give a lot of excitement. That means we can just focus on good old length. Although the wooden coaster is not really... It's not really a ride you need to worry about getting over 6 excitement. You know? Okay, photo, because we're gonna be able to earn a lot with that. Gonna charge 490 for that. Standard is 3 and we're overcharging 190. Okay, I didn't really mean to build that big one, but it's fine. I think Valder will quite like that quite a lot if he's still here, because he always says build the big one at the bottom and the small one at the top. When transitioning from steep to level and the other way around. It took me ages to work out a wooden design that incorporated interlocking loops that didn't have over 10 intensity. I'm confident this doesn't have 10 intensity. That doesn't mean I'm right, I've been wrong before. I'm still confident though. This is 600, right? Can't you easily interlock loops now with quarter helixes? Yes. Although this probably takes up a little bit less space. Maybe not, but You're right. I'm not used to quarter helixes, so they're not kind of not in my repertoire. Alright. That's our Woody. I kind of did it wrong and I put the second... I put the tallest loop second. Which is wrong. You should do the tallest loop first, then a bit of track and then the second loop, so that the speed is kind of distributed better. Now it goes rather fast through the first loop. And rather slow through the second. It kind of works. Wait, everyone does that? You mean my doing the loops wrong? I usually don't. Alright, this looks alright. What intensity does this behold? 9.74. And it's high enough. Long enough. Easily. 8.2 to excitement. Damn, them interlocking loops though. If you see interlocking loops in r/rst 60% of the time they're the wrong way around. It's probably because people tend to build loops on the ground. And then once they've built one, they're like, ooh, I kind of want to interlock this. I mean, that's how it worked for me here. I only thought of the interlocking after I built the first one, and I was too lazy to go back and do it the proper way. So then you end up with this. I mean, it's kind of fine. It works. There's nothing wrong with it in terms of stats. Okay, how much can I charge for this? $15.40. That's quite a lot. And that is 315 soft gas cam. Right now we should put the first aid stall there. Because it's across the right exit. Those are some neat colors. What does a cash machine do exactly? Well, beep be broke, beep be like cash machine, beep be like yes I found a cash machine, and beep be like ooh, extra money. And then beep be like I can spend money again. That's kind of how it works in their heads. Okay, we made 100 from stalls in April. Oh, 459 in June. Wait. Yeah, that's shop sales. Plus 473. Is that when I started selling maps? Either way. That's already... Oh, it says here. 771. Yes. That's nearly 10% of the way there. Yeah, peeps do have an endless bank account, which is really neat. We nearly made more from shops and stalls in May than from ride tickets. But in June that definitely permanently swapped around. And with this one as well, we should be doing pretty good money. Because it's of course immediately popular. By the way, I also fixed a very important thing. Well, not that important, but it's important to me. I fixed airtime. It's not quite merged yet, it's just a pull request at the moment, but it'll be merged. Basically, OpenRCT2 has been doing airtime wrong for the past 11 years. By doing airtime wrong, I mean how much it contributes to the excitement and nausea ratings. Been doing that wrong for 11 years, and I finally fixed it. Because I finally figured out exactly how it works in vanilla, exactly what OpenRCT2 did wrong, it just re-implemented the formula. But the thing is, and there'll be a video about it, of course there'll be a video about it, but I have like 15 videos that I'm working, well, kind of want to work on. So it might be a while. The weird thing about the airtime bonus is that there are two versions of vanilla. Because older versions had presumably a bug where there was no limit, and then you could underflow the hardline and get like 650 excitement on the hardline. Others too as well. And that was fixed in later versions of RCT2. And OpenRCT2 has now had two versions once my fix got implemented. So it's a bit complicated. And yes, we do have a pond. I've been keeping track of the rides built in my playtest, and fun fact, the soft gas cap in the harder gas generation is actually higher than it would have been under the standard rules. 5100 versus 3900. Yes, I have a video from a long time ago that is basically has the premise, is harder gas generation easier? For exactly that reason, because if you only build big long coasters, then yes, it is easier. As if this was normal gas generation, then this would have had, I don't know, some amount. But because this is harder gas generation, currently we get 110 more for the junior, 210 more for the wooden, so that's 320 extra. Because some option called harder gas generation is on. The only thing harder gas generation currently does for us, well, kind of two things, there's still a downside, but for the soft gas cap it's only an upside. Which is astonishing. Good to hear that you're playing RCT2 again, Lumi Quanto. And welcome to the stream. I'd love some kind of display if harder gas generation was enabled. Well, there are other options that don't have a display either. And I think implementing a display like that is a bit double if you can already just open the scenario options. And just... Because, you know, this is what you see at the start, so it's not like you're really spoiled all that much. Here you can see the harder park rating. Well, you can see this, you're kind of spoiled on these stats as well, but... I mean, you can kind of gather, it doesn't really matter, you can kind of gather them anyway by clicking on guests. So... I don't think it's really going to be worth it to make that window. The long flume. I find it interesting because we started with only a boat hire, which is, compared to how many of the other rides we have, it's an unusually small water ride selection. Is there any reason for that? Or didn't you just not really think about it and it's just kind of a coincidence? Just how I configure the initial ride selection. Okay, but I was curious, like, did you on purpose limit water rides, or did you just do a selection and then it happened to only have a boat hire? Soft gas cap 839. What? That's wrong. Well, it's not wrong, but it shouldn't be. It's like it's already counting the Virginia reel. When it shouldn't be. Because it's not even testing. It's just closed. That feels like a bug. Delete for science. Not necessary. We can just see how much it increases after we open it. By the way, is it making it? Not really paying all that much attention. Yes. Well, that's good. Can we... What kind of terrible... Like, how does that work? Why is it able to fit through that? That's awful. That's genuine. We can't... Oh, we can even raise that. Can we also do that on, like, the inside? No. That is genuinely awful. That looks so horrible. But yeah, I talked about this before. This is not an OpenRSD2 thing, I believe. I believe this is entirely possible in vanilla as well with that fucked up land. Okay, you know what? We're doing a second chain lift. This one's not going to be efficient. Are transport rides recognized by the pathfinder yet? No. There's like several reasons it got delayed. One of them is that the person who was working on that has had a busy life. But I believe there's also like other things that need to happen first. Basically, life can get in the way, other things can get in the way, development can sometimes be a bit slow. Sometimes also surprisingly fast. But it's still on the books. Is this 600 meters yet? Hang on, we can of course just test that. We've got live ride measurements. It kind of makes it a bit too easy. Instead of having to guess it, I can just do this. But I really am curious how long this is. So what we do... It's on the second chain, if that doesn't help. So let's restart it. We've missed a few meters, but that's okay. So, how long does this get? Yeah, no, that's not 600 yet, is it? Well, no, it is. That's already 620, like 640-ish. That means we can just return to the station. Oh, whoops. And we'll just make it shorter. Can we do a turn here though? Yes. This is gonna be the most inefficient... Well, we got no space for the exit building. This'll do. It's gonna be the most inefficient hardline Virginia reel you've ever seen. We can even do the wait for 10 seconds, because it's not like we got a lot of cars. And the ride is quite long. So keeping the 10-second wait is not going to mess with it, with its throughput. Okay, so we've now got this, and it's only increased by 50. We've got 120 here, which I think includes like 20 from stalls and stuff. Hang on, let me see. Is the Virginia reel 50? Virginia reel, yes. Okay, so it's the soft gas cap. It's the harder gas generation that makes the mistake here and already counts it. Unless it's gonna... hang on, unless that was truly something else. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe this 839 was something else and we're gonna get another 100 once this finishes testing. Actually, I think that's gonna happen. I think I was just confused. Let's see, am I right? Do we get now 989? Yes. Okay, so this 120 just came from something else. And I was just a confused boy. I like how close these stats are. 6.95, 6.84, 6.85. It's very typical of Virgin Reel. Alright. Our ticket price calc. How much can we get for this? 920. Okay, those colors will do. And another first aid stall there. 64 already in that one. 14 in that one. They're doing quite well. You just got the safest park award. This will not do. I nominate a prime numbered guest. Okay, let's just see. 926, not a prime. 191. Let's see. It's not divisible by 11. It's not divisible by 7. Not by 3. 13. No. That's 195. 17. Not either. Then we're past the route, so it should be prime, right? Is 191 prime? Yes. Googled it, and indeed it is prime. I can do that with relatively small numbers. Once we get into the thousands, that's gonna be a little bit harder to do the math like that. Damn, rain again. It's like September and immediately rain. The chance is only small. The chance of rain is still very small in the months that you can get the rain. We've gotten... well, I'm not sure if it's lucky or unlucky. We just gotten special things happen. Which sounds a bit odd if you phrase it like that. I love having special things happen. Would you like to be my special thing that happens? I think rain being rare might actually help this scenario. Well, we're not overcharging on umbrellas, so... it's not gonna help that much. It's gonna help a little bit, because sometimes people will refuse the 440. Now they won't. I opened the stream just to immediately watch you drop a guest into a pond and watch them drown. I don't think I watched them drown, did I? I think I just immediately returned to building while they were still dying. Oops, the second hill. Or maybe I did watch them die. I forget. That's such a regular occurrence for me that I don't always remember. Okay, it won't be going too fast there, right? No, not even close. It's gonna make people throw up so hard. I mean, in reality it might. In the game it... Okay, they're going a bit too slow for it to be nauseating, but in the game it doesn't work like that anyway. We can just about fit through the junior coaster and the Virginia Rail. There's 6 meters of space there, and that's perfect. It's the minimum we need. I sometimes use these rides, like the Wild Mice rides, where in scenarios where you need to build a coaster that's 1,000 or 1,200 meters long. There it really kind of is a slog. 600 meters is still very much doable on these rides. It's sometimes a little bit of a stretch, but doable, without it looking kind of ridiculous. Not sure if this is 600 meters, but we'll see. I don't really want to get out the live ride measurements plugin every opportunity. I also want to have to do some of the work myself. Am I sure I set the climate to hot and dry, or is the game trying to gaslight me? Well, we'll see if we ever get rain outside of September, October and March. So far it's held up. That's the right one. Whee! Whee! Back and forth we go. Standard Wild Mouse tricks. Okay, these are still relatively high G-forces. Some people might still get ill from this. But it's also a tad on the slow side. Although with guests in it, it will go significantly faster. In fact, I should probably just make it wait for full load, just to be sure that we don't get any collisions. Ooh, it might be going a little bit fast at the end there, through those final tight turns. We'll have to see if that gives excessive laps. It might. No. So apparently we weren't going too fast. I wasn't looking at the speed. Pretty good. 727 meters. That's a Boeing, I believe. And 7.8 acquisitement. Okay, I'm going to guess that this is going to be 14.2. It is 16.2, that is significantly higher. For the third one then, that's what I'm heading for. Eventually, if I build a duplicate alright, I will have to remember to lower the prices as well. But that's for later. I keep building kind of nauseating rides. Because this one has 6.8 nausea. This one has 5.1 nausea, which I think is the lowest of the bunch. This one has 6.8 nausea. And this one has 5.4 nausea. All over 5. So it's a good thing I have first aid stalls. Salt gas cap 1100 already. It's increasing fast. Je t'aime. If only you could charge for first aid rooms. Hey, I'm not that cruel. I might charge for the bathroom and I won't charge for the first aid room. I had to pay €1 to pee in Milan. But then again, the bathrooms were very clean. So it wasn't too bad. Surely log flume counts. We're gonna focus on roller coasters first to win more money. How about a looping coaster? Actually, I'm just going to set this to roller coasters only. We don't need Gentle rides or anything. Can I make a park where the entrance is free and the rides are free, so only stalls are the money makers? Yeah, like you can do that for like a challenge or stuff, but Valder is right. You can't enforce that in any way. Station. So we have 2 trains of 8. Oh, this is the roller coaster Tycoon 1 version actually. Just noticed we just got spooky theming. You know, with all of these rides needing 6 excitement, the excitement is rarely ever the issue. Because if anything, you can just spam a lot of scenery. I tested and yes, log flumes do contribute. Okay. I expected them to. That's good to know, so thank you. This looks like the start of a typical help. I have 20 intensity, what do I do? What did I do wrong right on Reddit? Especially if I do this, but then it's actually gonna have 20 intensity or something like that. So the thing is, you can... Wait, why can I do banked turns? Do I also have the other trains? Yes. Okay, I'll have the other trains down. The thing is, you can absolutely get away with ridiculous things like that. That steep 360-degree turns. You just have to be very, very careful to not go over 2.8 lateral Gs. And if you look at this, bam, there we go. It's already, only the first car matters for G-force calculations. It's already past the thing, past the turn. And it's still only 74k an hour. The limit for steep turns is 90. And it reaches 99 kilometers an hour at the bottom, but that's well past its limit. Now, we do have some small banked turns here, which go up to 100. Top speed of this thing is 99, so from that we can never get excessive lateral Gs. So if you know what you're doing, that's what I like doing that. I like doing that, just... seeing what kind of ridiculous stuff I can get away with. Just because I kind of know what I'm doing. I know how to find the limits and abuse them, which is fun. Last live stream we had a very fun thing where someone asked me to build a ride with a lot lower stats than you would expect. And what I ended up doing was building a Giga Coaster that looked like it had like 6-7 intensity. 6-7? So I had people guess and they were like 6 intensity, 7 intensity, 5.5, 6.5, stuff like that. It ended up being like 3.2. And I had that exactly correct. Because unbeknownst to all the viewers, I had on purpose failed the drop height requirements. But built it in a way to make it seem like a normal ride. And it reached high speeds. It went like 70, 80k an hour or something like that. So it looked very, very normal, but it wasn't. I think I'm one too... Yeah, I'm too low. There we go. There we have our interlocking of the loops. That doesn't quite work. Why is train 2 not moving? It's kind of squished because the station is not long enough for it. That will be fine. That's only when during the ghost testing phase. It doesn't reach it to the next chain lift piece. It'll be fine during normal operation. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is 600 meters. We'll see. If it's not, we can always lengthen it. So. Let's follow the T-rain. You know, let's make a red ride. I don't make enough red rides. White support. Green and grey trains. The little coaster that couldn't. Well, now it can. See, there it goes. See, there it goes, and I point at my screen. Yeah, that's useful. Okay, this thing is going way too fast. Oh, those G's are going to be painful. It's going to be like 5.2, 5.3 G forces. Yeah, it's going to be fine. Finger cam when? I mean, if I did a webcam, it would still be pointed at my face. So you could see that I'm pointing, but you still couldn't see where I'm pointing. 5.6 positive Gs, a little bit higher than I expected. It's 696 meters, which is good. 696, why? What does that make me think of? I don't know. I mean, I guess 106.96, significant time, I guess, but maybe that's what makes me think of, I don't know. Right ticket price calculator. 12 bucks, please. Nausea is less than 5. Yeah, it's a looping coaster, which tend to have reasonably low nausea ratings. Ducky Fighter Park, finally! Also, welcome, Neri. We just got the suspended swinging coaster, one of the worst looking coasters in the game. There's my Ducky Fighter Park button. And there come all them ducks. Well, only a portion of them. They got more ducks, so we got quite a significant amount of space for them. They're gonna be fine. Okay, look at that. We're gonna reach 10,000 profit in March. That's gonna be pretty damn good. We can nearly pay back our loan. That will save us a little bit of money. Not that it's really necessary. But I would like to have it paid off. There we go. Now we no longer need to worry about the loan. Not that we needed to worry about it. But still, we no longer need to worry about it. Okay, how often do the cash machines already get used? What? Okay, didn't they, that's just one of them. 175. 203. I think I've only built 3 up only. We've already got like 550-ish people who've used the cash machine. That's 25,000 cash. Like 27, 28,000 that people have already gotten out of the cash machine. It's not all been spent yet, obviously, but still, damn. We'd be making money. I don't think you ever explained how high ducks fly in terms of map height. I didn't. I don't know, but we could check that out. I mean, it's rather easy. Height on land. Let's just wait. Okay, it seems to be between 36 and 37.5 meters. There we go. We should have a balance patch that removes the ATM for the game. Change my view. You're probably half joking. And the problem is, if you remove ATMs from the park, then you can't ever build a big park. If you remove ATMs from the game. Because you're just limited on how much money you can make. What's not a good coaster type? How about a stand-up with 6 excitement? Gonna need some scenery for that, but okay. Okay, park boundary is there. I'm kind of... The reason I'm not building all that willy-nilly is that I'm trying to build efficiently, but it'll be fine. We just make this compact and it'll be fine. Counterpoint, big park cause problems for people all the time because they assume just because they can drag the map site to 999 build 1,000 rides, they should. I don't mean 1,000 rides. Like, if you have just 200 staff, which you will reach well before you have 1,000 rides, that's already gonna be, like, let's say 60 average, because you have more handymen than mechanics. That's already gonna be 12,000 of expenses a month. Then you have some other expenses, like ride operating costs, new ride costs and stuff like that. You're barely gonna break even if you don't have insanely rich guests or ATMs. If your guests just spawn with like 70 to 100, which is already quite high, then you're just gonna very quickly, if you build any kind of big park, run out of money if ATMs are not available. So either you need very rich guests or you need ATMs. And let's be honest, how often do people really create a 1,000 by 1,000 park? Because we don't see people post that with problems very often on Reddit. At least I don't see it. Like, yeah, it's happened, but the fact that it's happened once or twice doesn't mean it's a common problem. What about guest turnover? Get the guests with no money to leave faster. Well, that's... like, they'll leave. That's not a problem. It's just... you can only spawn guests so fast. Let's say you spawn 500 guests a month, which is an insane amount, but it's possible. If they have, on average, 100 each, that is 50,000 a month. But, like, that is... 500 is completely unsustainable. 300 is already a lot. That already also requires constant advertising, by the way, which also costs money. So, let's say 300. That's gonna be 30,000 a month. With constant advertising, that's like already like 3,000 advertising a month or something like that. And then you have staff costs for a big park. And everything else. Like ride running costs, new rides, maybe you want to build some scenery, stuff like that. You're just limited in how much money comes in through the entrance. And that's why you need the ATM. Now, of course, for scenarios, the ATM is not always needed. You can perfectly play a lot of scenarios without ever touching the ATM. And I reckon quite a few scenarios would be better if they didn't have it. But it's still a great addition to the game. I think I'm too low. Yes. ATM didn't exist in RST1, so you kind of have to play those scenarios without it. Yes, and that's also why building large parks in RST1 was not really very doable. Depends a bit on your definition of large, of course, but I don't think this scenario would be doable without the ATM. I mean, nothing is impossible. It's not like it, okay. If I pull out all the cheese, we don't even need the ATM to begin with. If we're not gonna cheese it, then it's still possible without the ATM. It's just gonna be more of a slog. Because if there's no deadline, which there isn't, then one thing you always can do is just spend 100 hours making tons of money, like building a very efficient money-making park, then deleting everything, starting again with like 100 million in the bank. That's not fun, but it is theoretically possible. You know what I mean? Now we have a quarter helix. Quarter helix up, which I needed because I needed to be 1 unit higher to be able to do that turn down. Is this 600? Do a little bit more. I do have to be a bit careful because it is, after all, a stand-up coaster. Okay, this thing is reasonably compact. then do the complete opposite. No deleting anything challenge. Still easy. Just build like a very small spark to make all the money, and once that's done, you don't need to delete it, you can just expand. Or close it off with no entry signs. Good evening, Meister Schmitty. Okay, ooh, they even interlock with timings. If the minimum wait of 10 seconds is followed. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be doable with if guests also need to load. But it's quite neat. Oof. I faffed up the laterals. Must be there. Okay, that's not too hard to fix. We'll just do that. See how low down we can go. Alright. That'll do. Can't wait for Mix's RST2 style trains to become official and finally get banked curves on these bad boys. Ooh, that would be nice. Well, on one hand I say that would be nice, because it would be. On the other hand, I'm also like, it's a challenge to not have them. Know what I mean? Because if I had banked turns, this wouldn't have been a problem. But now it is. But I assume that's where the problem. Well, yeah, all of my other small turns are banked, so it must be. I do like the extra challenge of some ghost types of needing to have that in mind. So I kind of hope that they become like cheat pieces only. There probably won't be. But I think for game balancing purposes and making the coasters feel more unique, that would be the better decision. I mean, I have the same argument against giving classic type the new official expanded track pieces, but I lost that battle. Ah, yes. Yes, I remember, I think Janice or came out, yes, one of the two. At some point in my stream, I think said, or maybe not in stream, whatever, said like, yeah, they just get anything they have sprites for. Which includes some of the big diagonal turns, like big sloped turns. Which usually don't exist. They're openers to do anything. Wide, steep to fast, yeah, that too. It's a difficult line to walk because OpenRT2 does have a lot of changes already that are making it easier. It's kind of, is it easier or is it just kind of taking a bit of the slog away? Because if you want to hire 20 handymen, just clicking this button 20 times and have them be dropped automatically is kind of just taking a bit of the slog away. Even though it's technically easier. And that's an OpenRT2 thing. You can turn it off, I guess, but it's on by default. No one ever turns it off. Same goes for having a default 10-minute inspection time. So you don't need to do that on every ride. I just kind of like that progression playing through RST1 with the classic trains and track restrictions. Yeah, that's fair. Undercharging for the stand-up cars. Yeah, I hadn't gotten to doing that yet because we were talking about stuff. 12 bucks. I don't think that's taking part of the slog away. I think it radically de-emphasized the patrol system. People just don't think about the unintended side effects, especially making behaviors like that default. It's funny, because I know how... I should at some point do a video about patrol versus no patrol, because I just don't know. I just need to run some tests. But I know that you are very pro-patrol. And I'm not anti-patrol, it's just that I've never done it. Even before OpenRST2, I didn't do it. So for me, it didn't change anything. And I don't know how it is in the general populace. And I'm not sure if you're right. I'm not convinced that people started doing it less after that. You could be right. But, and you're probably going to say, well, I've been seeing it more and more recently. And while I don't necessarily doubt that, it's also that compared to 10 years ago, I think we currently have a lot more casuals in the community. So that might also explain it. You play so efficiently, you hire about 3 times the staff I do and you just eat the costs. Fair enough. I currently have 10 handymen. How many would you have here? I will note, I don't know if it's you, but I don't know how that is for you, but I never have vandalism. Well, never, it's not entirely never, but pretty much never. Unless one of you fires all my staff, but that doesn't count, of course. I do like to have just a lot of handymen to keep my paths very, very clean. So that there's basically 0 chance for vandalism to occur. Although if you keep your guests happy, then occasional puke that's around for a little bit longer doesn't matter. It's not like one puke will make them instantly unhappy. And I need to be both unhappy and experiencing dirty paths to be vandals. I do sometimes use patrol areas, sometimes for entertainers in just busy areas. And sometimes if there's like one particularly bad pukey area, I do it for handyman as well. I don't think I hire too many mechanics though. How many do I currently have? 4, which is a bit on the high side. Although we do have 10 rides, and I know some people do 1 mechanic a ride, I definitely don't. But it's basically, currently, only one of them is doing stuff, so why do we need 4? Okay, this thing... 6.02, without even any scenery. We're doing pretty neat. Even if I go 1 per 20 or so for mass hiring handymen, I still see vandalism. So I always just put security guards in areas with lots of path objects for the safety net. Okay, I currently... 1 in 20 for... What do you mean 1 in 20? I currently have 1 in 100 and I have no vandalism. Surely you don't mean... Like 10 handymen are perfectly fine at the moment. What do you mean I'm hiring 10, like I'm hiring 3 times the staff of you? Would you with patrol areas only have 3 handymen in this park? I wouldn't wager that with 6 nauseating rides. More like 7. Well, I have 10. And we're doing fine, so... I know I tend to overhire a bit, especially when parks get bigger and I don't need to worry. But I don't think I hire that much staff when I'm still in the, like, kind of the smaller stages of the park. Right now you have way less than you normally do. I don't think for this kind of park though. I think when we're smaller, I do tend to have reasonably normal staff numbers. Just that when we get bigger, like, let's have a look, where is it? Yeah, I know where it is. There it is. Here I have 100 handymen. Which is not too bad, that's 1 per 150 guests. I don't think 100 handymen is unreasonable in this park. Like, it's a very big park. There's no way you would get away with like 30 or 40 handyman here. With 15,000 guests. And 40 mechanics. This seems a bit higher than necessary, but... it's not that many. Okay, how many do I have in European Extravaganza? I did it a long time ago. 40 handyman. I mean, it's still a reasonably large park. 40 is, it seems a bit excessive, but I reckon you would need at least like 25. Maybe 30 with patrol areas. Pandal World, that was a more recent one again. 71. Okay, that is incredibly excessive. That's... oh, a portion of that is just mowing grass for the memes. So you can subtract about 20 from that. This one is excessive. Then again, we do have 200,000 in the bank. Grand Glacier. 30 handyman. I don't think your thing 3 times is... because 30 is a bit much for this park. We'll probably get away with 20. But even if you patrolled it, considering I do have a reasonable amount of like nauseating rides, I think you would need at least 20. I don't patrol very often, so I don't know. So one more, animatronic antics. 22, well that's definitely not much. There's puke everywhere. I didn't do this one right. We need more. Dusty Desert, that's a more recent park again. 20, that's a very reasonable number. And we have no, well, almost no litter. So I'm not sure exactly what you're on about, Valor. You seem to have been exaggerating quite a bit. And you just remembered a few times where I have ridiculous amounts of money and do go nuts, which, as we saw in Panda World, I sometimes do. Do a little bit of scenery just to nicen it up. I like this tree because it's quite substantial, but it's a quarter tile. I also like this one. It's kind of the same, but just smaller. Of course, a bit of a different color. But this one fits well if you have an area that's like bushes and flower beds and stuff. This one fits neatly in between there to be something more substantial in terms of height and size, without being too overwhelming compared to the very low bushes and flower beds. And I can show you exactly what I mean with that. I did that, for example, here. Here it's in between all the bushes and a couple of flower beds and stuff, and it fits very nicely without being too big. It keeps kind of the low profile of it, while still being something more substantial. And I really like that. I just noticed this park has a different name than the scenario. It's called Blighted Wastes. Not Wastes, Wastes. But the park is called Blighted Fair. Right. that's the wrong way around. Now it's the right way around. Also, upcoming video is interesting. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the weekly release. I don't think it's gonna be finished tomorrow because I haven't started editing it yet. But the upcoming video is basically how every map is the same in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. Basically, Evergreen Gardens is just the same map as Dynamite Dunes. Stuff like that. I won't spoil too much because that gets a bit of the fun away from the video, but that, I mean, that's the line I say in the intro anyway, so that's fine. Frost Frontiers is also the same map, by the way. Wait, so that's where that comes from. I've done that with all my scenarios. Curryglow Valley, Curryglow Heights. That's where my confusion came from. At some point I was like, I've been calling this Curryglow Heights, but it's called Curryglow Valley. Where did I get that from? But no, I wasn't crazy. Apparently that was just different names. And my confusion was legit. You tricked me into having an existential breakdown. Can we put a Sphinx anywhere? Random Sphinx. I quite like it though. Alright, time to build some path. It's getting a bit crowded, eh? I've been wondering for a while, do walls and fences count towards the scenery boundary? I'm pretty sure they don't. I tested that once, but that was a long time ago. Or maybe like extremely lightly? I'm not sure. Should build some more stalls. Ooh, inverted Harpan coaster. I don't mind that one. 1774. That's nearly when America got its independence. Remember to set umbrellas to 20. No, remember to not do that, because that's cheating. No, it's not cheating, it's cheesy, and I'm not going to use cheese in this scenario. So we don't have lemonade. How much can we charge for lemonade? The usual maximum is 110 in medium temps. So we're going to do $3. 190 overcharge. And what's a foot we don't have yet? I don't think we have that on yet. Don't see it, so no. Alright, chip stall. Usually Maximus se The 160, so it's gonna be 350. Okay, time for another roller coaster. How about a mine train coaster? So currently sold guest cap is 1804, guest is 1206, so we're doing pretty good. We do have some folks leave. Why are you leaving? You're unhappy. Is it just overcrowding? Yeah, 100 people are complaining about overcrowding. Well, it's kind of in one spot, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do that. And that. And that. And that. And put them all there. Also, let's see how many guests will Mr. Unfireable have entertained so far. That's going to be an interesting one to see. 17,728. That's a pretty good number. Lamps should provide extra junction viewability for guests to not get lost. That doesn't make sense. You can't see. They can already see like at least 5 junctions away always. A lamp at your junction doesn't help you see 5 junctions away. Finally, they added the entertainer stats. Yes, it's been a PR for a while. Because there was some stuff that needed to be changed, and I was like at some point about to take care of that, but I had work to do, so I hadn't yet. And then Aaron was like, I'll do it. Well, he didn't say that, he just did it and said, I've done it. So that was, I guess, a collaboration between me and Aaron. Then at night, lamps could provide extra visibility. That's extremely niche though, because not many people play with nighttime enabled. And it would also be a bit odd, because like visibility doesn't get reduced during nighttime. Which means that nighttime plus lamps would suddenly have higher visibility than daytime and no lamps, which makes no sense. Nighttime is possible, yes. In OpenRST2 it is. Cycle day night, there we go. Why is lightning effects off? Because we're in open goal. Let's try software. Can we then do lightning effects? Yes. Oh my god. What's going on? That's incredibly bright. That's way too bright. I thought the light... I thought it was supposed to be night. Okay, that's better. Let's go back to open goal. That's a shame that we can't see the lamps, but not we have any, but I would build them, of course. But yeah, you can have nighttime. It's just that it doesn't do anything, of course. It's just purely visual. But also, I just don't like it. I don't like playing in the dark. What's the difference between OpenGL and software rendering? I am not the right person to ask that. Because I don't know. It used to be that you didn't get these extra 2 zoom levels with software, but I'm pretty sure you do now. I do believe that Dirklink uses software because it was like, I'm not sure if that's still the case, this was a few years ago. There was some kind of bug with OpenGL where some things underwater wouldn't be rendered properly. He had the big Megapark series a few years ago and I think that played a role. I've been using OpenGL for years because that's the only way you would be able to get these extra zoom levels, although I don't think that's necessary anymore, but why would I change? OpenGL works fine. Yeah, unless you turn on lightning effects, they just don't work, as we've seen. Because that wasn't supposed... That's not how lightning effects are supposed to work. Just making your game super bright. I've seen them work in the past. It's not like they've never worked. I do believe the person who worked on that and made them just doesn't do it anymore. It's not involved. I've not been involved with the game for a while, so they haven't been touched in ages. Okay, that's yeah, let's just go back to it'll become day, but I just want it to be day. Ooh, that suddenly looks a bit weird, even though these are the normal colors. Oops. I like the look of the mine train coaster. Thanks. I'm not sure it's going to be 600 meters, but we'll see. Alright, how long is it? Oh, I changed the chain lift after the first train started, so we're gonna wait for the second train. 613. It's not quite exciting enough, but we can change that. Is there a reason for someone working on OpenRCT2 why I can't get access to the hybrid coaster? Well, you won't get it in any normal scenario because it's not enabled. It needs to be in the object list. So if you are playing any scenario and you go to cheat menu, object selection, and then you can just... Well, for me it's already enabled. I just haven't researched it yet, but yeah, you can enable if it's not enabled. Like I could enable which isn't enabled. Well, okay, let's say different cars. I could enable the jet plane cars for the mini coaster, whatever. Am I going to get pretty much every roller coaster type? Seems like it. Okay, how much can we charge it? Well, let's actually first increase the excitement. Then we'll see how much we can charge. Park with the best roller coasters. You know it. We are playing RTC Roller Coaster Tycoon, so I have the best roller coasters. I see people say RTC instead of RCT so frequently. Like, surely that can't just be all typos, right? There gotta be people who genuinely think they talk about RCT and like, what's it again? Roller Coaster Tycoon? Oh yeah, RTC. Which I've never gotten. How that works, I've never understood that. Okay, this ought to do it. Hey, all the duckies are going. This is great for bit rates and compression. $6.57. Ah, did more than I expected. Okay, how much can we charge for this now? 1140. I said 40. There we go. I don't really even need to charge this much anymore because we already have more money than we can spend. I'm not spending money very fast. Let's build a few flat rides in between. Even though they don't do much, but I like the look of them. Especially the spiral slide. We talked about this while playing Carrigo Heights. I think the spiral slide is one of the quintessential Roller Coaster Tycoon flat rides. The other two are the Ferris wheel and the merry-go-round. I found how the RCT calculates the length of a ride, and it explains why measuring by tile makes 0 sense. Yeah, you're measuring by track piece, not by tile. It just, every track piece has a length. Well, no, not quite, but I've never looked into it, but I assume every track piece has a length. Although it does still have to do calculations for if it only did like half a track piece or something. The Woody remains unbeaten. Well, if you're going for like roller coasters, then you also have 3 classic ones. Which are, in my opinion, the wooden coaster, the looping coaster, and the junior coaster. So I would say there are 6 rides that are quintessential RCT. Maybe a log flume as well. Not even by track pace. How does it do it then? Just depending on its speed or something? Like it's going 70 kilometers per hour, which means that in the next tick it will move however many meters? Or centimeters? Or whatever unit it's using. Stalls? I mean, if we're doing stalls, it's obviously burger and drinks for food and drink. And then I guess info and toilet and balloon. Oh, how much? It already had over 6, now it's 6.39 with all the scenery. That's pretty neat. 71k is way more than we can ever use. We're already a quarter of the way. So yeah, we're absolutely gonna get there. We just need a lot more guests. We currently have a soft guest cap of 2080. Still, a lot of people are leaving. They're all unhappy. They're hungry and thirsty. But yeah, they don't want to overcharge. They don't want to pay a lot if they're unhappy. You know what? We have the money. I'm going to do an anti-Valdair move and hire 50 entertainers. That will make sure they're not unhappy anymore. That will make sure they buy more food and stuff. So they won't leave. Every internal update or so, 4 times a tick, it calculates by getting acceleration and velocity. The internal units used I can't get my head around. Alright, that makes sense. So I was on the right track with speed. Wait, internal update 4 times a tick. 4 times a tick? I'm skeptical of that. Let's have a look. So we need to be in vehicle. .cpp, I'm pretty sure. Because I know that airtime is somewhere here. There we go. Where's length? Sheltered length. Old length. Let's test finish. Okay, I'm on that. Sheltered length, segment length. Wait a minute. Was the previous one it? It is segment length? Let's see, which... update measurements. Yeah, that should be it. So if we're not... let's see. Test segment is current test segment. There we go, this is it. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. Yeah, acceleration plus velocity, that's what you saw. So absolute value, in case traveling backwards it will have a negative velocity. So that's why it's taking the absolute value, because length is obviously positive. Times 42, that's just a random number I assume to get the length like kind of right. This is just like adding it. It seems simple enough. You said this was happening 4 times per tick. I don't think so. Let's see, update measurements. Where is that called from? Oh, that's just a comment. Oops, let's go back. Update. I want to know where that's called from. There we go. If it's testing, so now we're in this vehicle update. Can I find easily the definition here? No. But I'm pretty sure this doesn't happen more than every tick, because nothing happens more than every tick, I believe, except from like drawing frames or something, because they can do more than 40 frames a second. I'm not gonna figure this entirely out at the moment, but all these update functions I've seen happen at most once a tick. Well, actually, we can change that. We can have a look, because in Park, and we go to, I think, maybe Map, and we get like very basic update functions. Let's see. Map update files. I'm not sure if you're on the correct. I think it should probably be Park. Oh, we got a few more. No. Park.cpp then. Yes, this is the general. This is the main update function, it seems. So we do update histories. Oh, this is just updating the park, so that's not. Now we need game state. Game state has that. Where is game state? Because it's not in here. Where's game state again? Well, it seems like when I was through the breakpoint and hit continue every time I hit continue, I would see the train move only every 4 times. Oh, so that's the opposite of what you said, or at least the opposite of how I interpreted it. Because I interpreted this as You said you were going once, like 4 times per tick instead of once every 4 ticks. Which, once every 4 ticks would actually make sense. God, where's the game state? .cpp, is that just here? Yes. Found it. At initializing, game state tick, that's when you do a tick. Game is not paused, yeah, then we update. Then we do our ticks. Game state update logic, that's the one we want. There all the logic gets updated. This happens every tick. Replay update. Blah blah blah. Right. Well, you know what? I'm not going to get too deep into it. I'm just gonna continue building the park. It would take a while to figure exactly the chain of logic out there, but it's doable. Okay, let's build a massive log thing. I mean, 600 meters isn't that massive. You don't even need a long station because it's a log flume. Sorry for derailing. No, that's fine. Because I meant to look into that anyway, and having looked into it a bit now is handy. Lol, we got the panda trains. Another reverser. Oh, and the photo section. Besides, the point of a live stream is kind of to be able to derail. It would be a bit boring if all I did was play Roller Coaster Tycoon and talk about Roller Coaster Tycoon. The beauty of a live stream is that we can take a few minutes to look things up or something like that. While in a video, I absolutely cannot do that. Because you can't interact with me. The side friction is in the inventions list. That's fine. It's not a difficult coaster type of side friction. You just have to be gentle with it. I think I might be like on the very end of the spectrum of how much I like the side friction. I think I like it more than most people. Have you ever noticed? Like, this is how it looked when we built, right? When we built it. This tunnel is quite low, but if you raise this up, you give it extra space, the tunnel will go higher as well. Because look, the tunnel completely changes height. So, if there is enough space, then they will draw the tunnel better. But if there's not enough space for the better tunnel, but still technically enough space for the clearance, they will draw it like that. I've noticed the tunnel holes for inverted coasters look strangely tall or elongated. Well, they do require 3 units of clearance instead of 2, so that's probably why. Oops, didn't mean to do the mountain tool there. Rain again. I feel like we're getting a lot of rain for a hot and dry scenario. Like, it's all in the correct months. It checks out that it's hot and dry, but it still feels like a lot. Alright. $57 boats. That's ridiculous. That's completely ridiculous. I think I've made it 600 meters long. Won't guests complain about the flume being too long, or is that the point? I don't know. I don't think this will quite take long enough for them to complain, but we'll see. Maybe it does. But you know, we have entertainers all around the park. They'll be fine. We should have. Well, there's still some people leaving. You are broke. I think I saw them having spent nothing, which means they just didn't go on any rides in time. Yeah, you haven't either. I think you are the same guest again. Maybe, maybe not. Seems that a lot of these folks, they are broke. Yeah, you can't entirely prevent that. We have plenty of cash machines, but there's no guarantee that they'll use them in time. Dumar colors. I wasn't aware they had colors. I'm not really aware of them anyway. I know they exist and that's about it. Why does it sometimes happen that guests enter the park, go on no ride and leave without having done anything? It's because they weren't able to go on a ride. And you see, the problem here is that, for example, well, this ride's too expensive. But yeah, that ride's too expensive. These rides have full queue lines. That ride has a full queue line, which means they can't join those if they're unlucky. And it's basically, after they've been in the park for a few minutes and haven't been on a ride, the train is like, pick a ride to go on now or you leave. And if they can't find a suitable ride to go on, which could be caused by full queue lines, then they leave. I also saw it happen in pretty new or empty parks where no queues are full. Well, they also have to, if they have no map, they need to be within, you know, within 10 tiles of a ride to pick one. There's lots of reasons why they wouldn't be able to pick a ride to head for. No merry-go-round. Apparently not. Let's do a corkscrew. Not sure if Doomar have official colors, but pink and green seem to be a recurring thing. Ah. Yeah, I hadn't a clue. Is this done testing yet? No. Yeah, I think it's gonna be well long enough for them to complain. I think I underestimated it a bit. You know what, we got ultra long terrain, so we can do ultra steep cocktails. God, this is ugly. Hey, it's 5 minutes 57. Okay, so that's a bit too long, so I'll lose a bit of excitement from it. It's like 4.5-ish minutes when they start to complain. I'm not sure exactly. It's 957 meters, that's well long enough. It's also 6.37 exceed them all, that's long enough. Well, excitement isn't the length, Marcel, it's high enough. These large cockshrews do look particularly nice, don't they? Oh, those medium loops are monstrously nice. Well, from this angle mostly, that one. The other one looks a bit less nice. But the same goes for any loop. It looks the best from a certain angle. Okay, this ought to be 600 meters. I hope it doesn't go 100 here anymore. If it does, we'll need to make that turn a bit less tight. I do like it tight, but sometimes that's just not advisable. Nice speed through those corkscrews. Photo taxi for the corkscrew. Yeah, I should probably have one in. Let's first see how it manages here. Lol, that last section is ridiculous. In the middle of the brakes. Because why not? Okay, how much can we charge for the log flume? 12.80. And the cockshrew will follow soon once it's done testing. We've kind of built it over the rest of the park, which means it's currently using a really small footprint actually. Just kind of this bit. Which is efficient. There it goes. I hope it didn't screw up like any laterals somewhere. Might have a bit high positive G's, I think, and vertical like negative 2. Yeah, looks nice, these stats. Looks pretty good. Close to 10 intensity, but not quite. It's well low enough, well exciting enough. Let's have a look at some of the stats. There's a very clear distinction between the flat rides and the other ones. The flat rides are all 3.4 or less, and the roller coasters are all 6.3 or more. There's none in between, because of course I made sure that every roller coaster is exciting enough, which is at least 6. Okay, just how many customers? Souvenir stand 1,000, thirst 1,000. I mean, that's pretty good going. Toilets 1 is even making a decent profit. And the cash machine's already more than 1,000 users. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous. I mean, we are at 4,000 already. That's pretty good going. We're well on our way to 10,000 profit. What kind of doubled it from September to October? Shop sales. That's odd. What did I build in that period? Maybe I built these? I don't know. More photo sections, I guess. Those count towards shop sales. Let's go for a multi-dim. The coaster with a function that no one ever uses. Because let's be honest, whoever bothers with the seat rotations? Whee! Plus 495, baby! And then minus 180, baby! Plus 495, baby! It doesn't do anything, which is a shame. And back to 0. Like, if it at least did something, it'd be useful, but doesn't do anything, doesn't change any stats, doesn't change any nothing. It's as useful as the lamppost. Lampposts are more useful because they look good. Technically this can kind of look good too if you are looking at the right, but lampposts are much more versatile. I never thought I'd be calling lampposts versatile. But I just did. Do you think they planned for it to do something and then just decided against it? Or was it too hard to have it do something that made sense? I think it was kind of hard because you would have to kind of like save on every tile how it did the seat rotations. Because, you know, on a log flume, you can just... It's broken down. On a log flume, you can just add a simple counter with how many reverses it has. You only get stats bonuses for one, I believe, but how many reverse pieces it has, how many drops it has, stuff like that. Same like on a wooden coaster, you can keep track of the amount of water splashes. But if you need to keep track of what exactly the seat rotation is doing, you need to keep track on it on every single track piece. And then you also need to do something with it. Like determine what the result should be of changes in it. And you can't just say, oh, that track piece changes, that track piece changes. I mean, technically you could. But if you want to do it properly, you would have to save the exact number for every single track piece. That can be hundreds or thousands of track pieces. You have to save it for everyone. That's going to take up a lot of memory. Which would be kind of fine now in current days, but back in the day, probably not so much. The multi-game already uses an excessive amount of memory. I believe it has the most sprites out of any ride in the game, because of all the rotation stuff. So you don't really want that to become anything more if you can help it. Hey, what a wiggy. Welcome on. How are you doing, man? Okay, this is well over 600 meters long. If the game kept track of the G-forces based on seat angle, it would fix everything. Well, you could kind of do that, I guess. That would have been doable. Although it would still be quite a bit more work and require some functions solely for this ride. So it's still still a bit of extra work for just one ride. But that would at least be, at least as I understand it, a reasonable amount of work, you know? I'm doing fine as can be. Nice. I'm doing fine as well. Or they could have given a stat penalty for having the seats on 0 all ride long, like a waterless coaster. They could have done that as well, but I think that's a bit excessive. Because I don't think it's as clear that this is a part of that. Because, you know, you got the water coaster, the reverser coaster. It's very clear that they need one of their track pieces. The multi-dimension coaster, it's not as clear for. The new track pieces, quarter turns up and down, you mean Helix. Are they completely new or was it already a coaster with this feature? Yeah, no, it already existed. Both banked and unbanked. It existed banked on the... what's it called? It's banked on, for example, do I have it? I don't have any of them, but the compact invert and also the normal inverted coaster, and unbanked on the suspended swinging coaster. We need plug-in. 14.20 for this one. I don't know why I'm bothering. It's not like we're out of money. And 13.40 for this one. Four D coaster without the fourth D is some kind of false advertising. I mean, I guess, but on the other hand, like, I don't think it's as obvious that you would need it. And I think people would struggle quite a lot if you would give a penalty for that, being like, why do I get low stats? While for the water coaster, it's very obvious that it's a water coaster. You know, in the reverser coaster, there's a reverser in the middle of the icon as well. Same goes for the water and the water coaster. Let's see, is there any more that need like one specific element? I guess some need an inversion, like the Heartline coaster and also the multi-limit. Okay, I saw a few pukies. Do we have any? Surely we can't have any vandalisms because we have tons of entertainers. Yeah, no, we don't. What's the most profitable ride? Currently it's stand-up roller coaster 1. Total profit, wooden roller coaster 1. That makes sense. That's one of the older rides. It's the second roller coaster I built. I mean, looking at this, that's not an insignificant amount of profit. If you combine these all, you're at like, you know, 7,000, 10,000, 15,000, 18,000. You're at like 20,000 profit. That's pretty good. And here it's like another 10,000 roughly. Which is alright too. Also, out of all the coaster types, including the Hardline, why does the 4D coaster have the fewest track building options, like sprites and other track pieces? Because sprites. It already has the highest number of sprites, because it needs sprites for every possible seat rotation. Now imagine if it also had banked turn or like sloped turns, which it doesn't have, which is very unusual. But imagine if it did, you would need so many more sprites for the trains to be able to render it all. And that's why it doesn't have them, in all likelihood. No one's ever confirmed this, I believe. I don't think Chris Sawyer or Simon Foster has ever said like that's the reason, but that's in all likelihood the reason. Watersmiths. Okay, how many guests has Mr. Unfireable already entertained? 31,000. That means he's provided, I believe it's like +4? Maybe 3 or 4 happiness. He's provided roughly 100,000 happiness in total. Not quite, because quite a few guests, especially with how many entertainers we have, will already be at 255. So he's kind of doing nothing for them, but he's doing good work. Entertained 38 has entertained 4,970. Which will go up the next time he does a dance. There we go, went up by 12. How does the name a ride work? We just name any ride that's already in the park and hasn't been named by that reward yet, but it's not been used this stream, so that none of them are all of them available, I guess. Depends on how you want to frame it. Can we build a Colosseum here? No, then we'll build it there. Best custom designed rides. Ooh, baby, you know it. You know it, girl. Yeah, we can put a ship there. It's pretty good. And to make sure he always has ammo, going to give him plenty of ammo. Pirates invading the Romans, yes. Ships need water. Well, seems like it's doing fine without. Like, it's there. It's not sinking into the land, so I think it's doing pretty good. In fact, if you have no water, your ship cannot sink. So, why would you ever put a ship in water? It can only sink. Checkmate, atheists. I don't see anyone having a counter-argument to that. Ever heard of sinkholes? What? That liberal myth? Sinkholes don't exist, they're just a myth made up by the cat people government for you to believe. Like, have you ever seen a sinkhole in real life? If you think you have, no you haven't, they're just planted memories. Also, why does this render over that? That's not how that's supposed to be. Gaslighting. No, not gaslighting, it's the goddamn truth. We have all been Stockholm syndromed into thinking that sinkholes are real, while in fact they're not sinkholes, they're just secret locations for the cat people government to control all the balls of yarn in the world. You know what, I'll put our ship on dirt. Yeah, can't hit an iceberg if you're on land. There are no icebergs on land. If you've seen one, no you haven't. That wasn't ice. That was just plastic. Because ice doesn't exist. Ice is a liberal myth. You haven't had ice in your drink. Those were all mini, what's it called, air conditioning units. Ice is fake. What roller coaster do you have available? It's too late for one of those rewards in Falling Space. In this stream. Tell a childhood story. What do you want it to be about, Waluigi? Ice is water. No, ice is fake. I was more asking out of curiosity. Well, we've got a few. Quite a few, actually. You're Dutch, and I'm partly Dutch. There must have been something, either on vacation or somewhere else, where another culture has amazed you at a young age. Oh, we just unlocked the reverse freefall coaster. Let me make that 6 meters long. So, culture shock. I'm not sure, actually. Where's the longest straightaway that I still have available? I can just start. Like, oh yeah, that's gonna be Ugo though. I'll start, the furthest back I can start is there. But yeah, I'm not sure if I remember a big culture shock. Because I've been going to places for holiday, like France and stuff, ever since I was 10 months, no not 10 months, December, like 7 or 8 months old. And the fact that there was no peanut butter or hagelslag in France has never been a shock to me, because that's just been a reality. You know, we went to France most years, so we would just, you know, when I was a baby, I obviously didn't realize. At some point, when you're like 3, 4, 5 years old, you for the first time realize that. But it's just normal that you take peanut butter with you and hagelslag with you because you want to eat that and you can't get it in France. So, stuff like that has never been a kind of really a culture shock for me. Maybe when we went to Tenerife in 2011. I was 14 at the time. I mean, it was kind of a bit of a shock that Tenerife just didn't have any beaches. Like maybe 1 or 2 very small ones, but most of it was just rock beaches, not sand beaches. That's all I meant, sand beaches. I guess you could call that a bit of a shock. Well, I guess one shock there would be that we had to buy water. We couldn't drink out of the tap. I think that's maybe the biggest culture shock I've ever had. Okay, I don't think this is 600 meters. Oh, it's 9:45. Well, technically I was right, it's not 600, but that's not what I meant. This is well long enough. Cool. That was easy. It's also exciting enough. I see you're using an earlier version of this map. Hang on, I downloaded the most recent post you made about it. Where you said this is a re-upload to fix an oversight with the map. That's the one I downloaded. Near the end of the freefall coaster. Oh yeah, I see. Well, that's not going to be an issue. But either you didn't fix it, or you just uploaded, I guess, the wrong file. The unfixed file. So yeah, my culture shock is that we have to buy water in France. Not France, Spain, Tenerife specifically. One of the Canary Islands. It was also, I guess, slightly a shock to me that in Iceland, I wasn't a kid anymore, that wasn't 2019, so I was 22. How incredibly well everyone spoke English. Like, I knew they spoke English very well, but I was still surprised. I don't want that one. 1840, damn. That's a high price. It does help that the intensity calculates, like, contributes a lot on this ride, and it has 9 intensity. The biggest culture shock I got was when I went to Croatia. They don't really do early eating times like we in the Netherlands have. I was also 6 at the time. Oh, I went to Croatia when I was 7. But then again, I used to go to France before that a lot, so I would have already been used to that, because France don't do early eating times either. A lot of restaurants in France only open at 7 p.m. So, yeah, that I would have already been used to that as well. What is our salt capital? 2750. Okay, we've pretty much reached that. So we are gonna need some more rice. That's all for next stream though. Coffee, I don't think we have a coffee yet. Let's see, that one's at 380. 120, what can we charge for coffee? 110, that's gonna be $3. I went to Italy this year. It was a bit of a shock how bad some of the roads were. Well, I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration. But let's just say they were slightly worse than I expected. But I wouldn't really call that a shock. Why don't you ever place the information kiosks on the inner corner, since they get more interaction that way? I can't be bothered. Sometimes I do. I did it on purpose for one of these. That one, for example. I think I remember there being one earthly in this area, but no, there isn't. That one's on the inner corner too. So I do it sometimes. Anyway, that's gonna be the end of this live stream. I'll call this version 1 because we're not done yet. And I want to thank you all very much for watching. And I'm going to see who I can raid, if anyone. Let's see if anyone is doing Roller Toaster Tycoon. That's German. That's German. That's German. Why is everyone doing... There are 3 people streaming some kind of Roller Coaster Tycoon now, and they're all German. Why is it all Germans? Well, in that case... I will not raid anyone. So, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all next time on Sunday. To maybe finish up. We're at 6,000, so we're gonna finish this up. So, I will see you all next time, and I wish you a good. Bye. See you later.